Yeah, like I said, the last few songs are just all the positives come at the end. And the overwhelming message of the album is in that last bit of Death and All His Friends. It's like a rallying call to acknowledge all the struggles we have and people have, but then just to say, well, we'll just get on with it then.
Brian was the biggest advocate of that song. When we were working on it, he immediately jumped on it and said, we have to finish this, we have to finish this. And I think we worked on it for a while, and then it was buried a little bit, and then we decided to resurrect it. And from what I remember, we did record it very live in this room. And we chose the best take, so it wasn't really overthought, or, you know, there was no sort of scissor work involved in it from what I remember. So in that
apart
sense,
from the very beginning, which is it's kind of the very, you know, there's a quiet bit at the beginning with just Chris and Johnny on a piano and a guitar and singing, and it originally was called School, I think, and it was an intro to another song called Rainy Day, and then it just seemed they were in the same key, and it was a really lovely beginning to a song, and we thought we'd try squeezing them together, and it actually ended up really working. But it was in two sections, not quite from start to finish. We're not really capable of playing songs from start to finish.
Some of it was recorded in Barcelona, some of it up the road, and it was internationally recorded. And the one bit of it was recorded 8 months before the other bit.
A bit here.
A bit here, a bit there. Oh, you mean actually a bit here?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Escapist was written for a film, and it's by somebody else, you know. We're singing someone else's song. You know, I think it's important to have a variety of writers on an album in terms of the raw song underneath. So we worked with this guy, John Hopkins, who's a young wizard of music, who Brian introduced us to, who we've done a lot of work with since, and who we love. And he played us this track, I don't know what it was called, and then we said, oh, can we have it? And he said, for a fee. So he wrote that piece of music, and we thought it was right to start and finish our album.
John Hopkins was a guy that Brian brought in to help us out on some keyboard sounds and some various piano bits. And he played us this song one day that he'd written, and we instantly felt it was, you know, just incredible, and it didn't have any vocals on it, and it was about 9 or 10 minutes long. But we listened to it over and over again, and you know, it was wonderful. And then Chris, I think late one night, Chris wrote a vocal part on it and asked John if he could, you know, if we could kind of appropriate it. And he was very kind and said yes. But then the film company had approached us to use, they wanted to use a new song for a film called The Escapist, which was about a prison break, and it's actually coming out, I think, this summer. And it just features right at the very end of it, at a very opportune moment. But it's unlike anything we've ever had on our record before, but by virtue of the fact that it wasn't actually written by us, or 99% of it wasn't, which I think, like Chris said earlier, it's a good thing, you know? Starting from somewhere else will always end you up in a different place. My favourite lyric on the album is in the song Viva La Vida. It's kind of the opening, well, it's 2 lines really, but the one that ends in "Sweep the streets I used to own," just because it sounds like it's very evocative to me, and it conjures up a very sad image, but I think it's one of Chris's, well, I think it's
one of ours.
The best lyric. That's the best, my favourite vocal performance. There you go.
Also, it harks back to when me and Johnny were cleaners of the building we used to live in.
You didn't own it though, did you?
Didn't own it technically, but
do now.
But "Sweep the streets" I used to rent during term time. Doesn't sound as catchy.
No.
Lyrics quite often have different meanings to you at different times, so, you know, in 6 months' time I might pick up on something which I didn't before, and it will probably mean the world to me, but so it's quite hard to choose. But, you know, if I was to pick something to talk about right now, you know, I'd like to talk about Chinese sleep chant, because I think that's you know, a slightly different style of singing, you know, and you can hardly really hear what the lyrics are, which is, so it's kind of very open to interpretation, and so you just kind of get the mood from it. So, you know, I'm really enjoying, you know, that sort of
Gobbledygook.
Well, it is. You know, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, my favourite line is, well, really because, it's the opening of Violet Hill, because that line got our band together, because Chris wrote that in about...
We wrote that one line in 1997,
Yeah.
Really?
and then the other 50 lines came in 2007. I don't know. I don't have any opinion on the lyrics. I do think that we've got good or better lyrics on some songs. I like where they've gone, but I don't have a favourite. I would say that Guy and myself and Johnny are all on the top of our game in terms of what we're doing, but people have kind of, they might be a bit used to that, but Will's drumming is twice as good as he or anyone else has ever done, and that's really what saves the whole album. You can listen to our album purely for the drums, because they're really great, and I'm free to say that because I don't play the drums or the beats, so rhythmically we're twice as good as we've ever been.
I think the way that the live show will go, I think the more songs you have and, you know, the more material you have to choose from, the harder it is to be ruthless and to keep your quality control very high. It's very easy to just go, oh, we'll just do that, you know, slip in the kind of the big whatever song, you know, a big song off the first one, big song off the second one. I think it makes it harder, but I'm really looking forward to... It's a great decision when you decide what songs you can afford not to play. You know, it makes you feel good about the songs that you have, and I'm looking forward to you know, choosing the songs that which we refuse to play on this next record.
That's such a Will answer.
But it's good though.
So the way we'll put our set together is by Will writing a not set list.
Whatever's
He'll write a list
Anti.
of what he doesn't want to play, and we'll be left with about 4 songs.